Hi everyone, this is Rosie, and today we're going to make luggage tags. So let's get started. I designed two different luggage tags here. This is style 1. It has a long strap on it so that you can loop it around your luggage. Both of these luggage tags have cam snaps for closures, so you can easily slip an ID card in there. It has plenty of room, and snap it shut securely. So this is how it looks from the front, and that's how it looks from the back. And on this one, it has more of a triangular top, and what I did is I put a grommet in here so you can put a ribbon or whatever else you want through there to attach it to your luggage. And again, it also has the cam snap to keep your card secure in there. Now, if you'd like to make the tag along with me, I do have some free pattern downloads for you. I have a PDF pattern which has all of the pieces for both styles. So it's in 3 pages here. And one thing that's very important is to take note of the registration square. When you print out the PDF pattern after you downloaded it, you will want to set your printer to print the pattern at 100% or actual size. And then you're going to take a ruler and you're going to measure this square here from side to side and from top to bottom. And it should measure 2 inches in each direction. And you want to measure from the outside lines. And then there are some other instructions up here on how to use the pattern. Now, I also have an SVG file that you can download to cut on your Cricut Maker. Now, the SVG file was designed for the Cricut Maker and it's only been tested on the Cricut Maker. But if you'd like to try it on another machine, you're welcome to do so. And if you're unsure of how to upload the SVG file into Cricut Design Space, at the very end of this video, I will have a very short tutorial on how to do that. In this video, we're going to make style 1. Now, style 1 and style 2 are constructed exactly the same way. It's just that the front and the back has a different shape. So I have a piece of fabric here that I cut out by hand. It's 2 inches wide by 12 inches long, and that's for that strap that I showed you. This is for the front and back, and this is for the window pocket. And these pieces here are the interfacings. Now, I did cut all of these pieces out with the SVG file on the Cricut Maker. So the first thing that you want to do is take these pieces here, and on just one of the front and back pieces, you want to draw some lines that are 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. So I simply just took my ruler and measured in 3/8 of an inch all the way around, and then I drew some lines. And then what I'm going to do is take that piece of interfacing, it's Decovil Light, I'm just going to put it within the bounds of those marks there. And then I'll go over to the iron and press this down following the manufacturer's instructions for the Decovil Light. Then I'm going to take the 2 ID pocket pieces and do exactly the same thing, just measure 3/8 of an inch in from each edge. And then I'm going to take the interfacing piece and I'm going to lay it within those marks, and then I'll do the same thing for each one of these. I'll go ahead over to the iron and press these down. Now I have my interfacings fused to these 3 pieces, and I've also prepared the strap. You'll take your 2-inch piece and you'll first fold it in half lengthwise, and you'll press it down. Then you'll open it up, and then you're going to fold each long edge towards the middle, just like this, and press again, and then you'll fold the whole piece in half so the folded edges are meeting in the middle, and then you'll give that a good pressing. Now you'll want to take your ID window pieces and fold them in half like this, and give a little snip down the center, about that much. And then you want to take your scissors and clip diagonally at a 45-degree angle right into that corner. Now you want to be careful not to snip into the interfacing, but you do want to snip right up to the interfacing. And it's good to have a pair of scissors that's sharp right to the tip. to help you make that cut. And then after you have everything clipped, you're going to take this strip of fabric right here and fold it right over that interfacing, and it'll fold up right to the edge there. And then you'll fold it and press it. Then you'll go to the opposite side, fold that up and press it, and then you'll do the same thing with both of these sides and press it. So do that to both of your ID window pieces, and I'm going to press mine off camera right now. I have everything pressed down now, and what I want to do is trim these triangle pieces down to about 1/4 of an inch all around. So go ahead and clip each one of these. All the triangles have been clipped, and now what I'm going to do is just put a little dot of fray check in each corner. I said a little dot, but it's flowing out very freely on mine right now. After the fray check dries, you're going to take both of these pieces and place them right sides together. And rather than lining up these outside edges, what you want to do is line up the window. So you want the edge of this window to be even with the edge of the window underneath it. And then you'll clip them. So just make sure that it's even all the way around. And you can clip from the outer edge, but the point is to make these folded edges even right here, where we folded those triangles over the interfacing. Then after you have it all clipped, make sure that it looks like those edges are even on both sides. And you're going to go over to the sewing machine and you're going to sew completely around the outside of the interfacing, all the way around here. Now we're going to sew all the way around the outer edge of the interfacing here. And what I've done is I've actually marked some pen lines all the way along the outer edge so that hopefully you can see it a little bit better as I'm sewing. Now it doesn't really matter where you start, and you don't have to backstitch yet. I'm sewing on a Juki TL2010Q, and I am using a stitch length of about 2.5 right now. I'm going to hold my threads out to the side here so that I don't get a thread mess. I'm just letting that needle ride right along the edge of that interfacing. Try not to stitch on top of the interfacing if you can do it. And I'll pivot. Now when you get to the tight corner, just go slow, and you can lift and pivot a little bit, but then only take one stitch at a time. Taking one stitch at a time will give you a nice smooth curve around that rounded corner there. And now I'll go ahead and sew over a few stitches of my original stitching there. And then you can backstitch a couple of times. And now I have that long strip here that will be our strap, and I'm just going to edge stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from each edge, from each long edge. And there's my edge stitching. When you're done sewing around the outside of that interfacing, you're going to take your scissors and you want to clip these corners here. Be very careful that you don't cut into your stitches. And then for the curves, you just want to clip out some triangles here. And then once you finish cutting out the triangles on both curves, you'll go over to your iron and you'll press back all of your seams all the way around. Now I had finished clipping my curves and I just went ahead and pressed everything open. I really only pressed one side, so I just pressed this side down, and now we're going to turn this. So you'll just reach in here and just poke that open. Same thing here. And then you'll get your corners. And then you can go ahead and get your point turner. And then you can go ahead and take your point turner and very gently poke out those corners there. You don't want to poke through your fabric or your stitches. And the same thing here. But the interfacing actually shapes this very nicely, so you're not going to have a lot of trouble getting nice edges there. And you want your edges to be even on both sides. You don't want them to be skewed one way or another. You just want to see that seam right there. And then you can go ahead over to the iron and press this down nicely. Now that I have this piece pressed, I'm going to slip the plastic for the window inside here. It'll take a little bit of finagling, but it's really not that bad. And then once it's in place, just check to make sure that it's centered in there. And then you'll take some clips and just clip it to hold everything in place. Then you'll take your front and back pieces and you'll take your strap and you'll secure it with some basting stitches to the top of the tag. And I did it to the side that has the Decovil on it. And then once you do that, you can take these pieces and put them right sides together and match up all your edges, make sure everything is even, and clip all the way around. And this time you do want to make sure that those outside edges are even. I have the front and back clipped together and we're going to sew all the way around, but this time we're going to leave an opening. So about that much is just fine. And I did put another black line all the way around the interfacing. We will again be following the contour of that interfacing with our stitching line. And then on this piece, we're going to go over to the sewing machine and secure in this plastic window by sewing 1/8 of an inch all the way around the edge of the window. Now also in the ID window, and I'm just going to use the center of this toe right here on my presser foot as my guide. And I'm still sewing with a stitch length of about 2.5. Now you don't need to backstitch here. And then you can pivot. I think I'll take one more stitch. Then when you get back to where you started, you'll again go a few stitches over your previous stitches and then just back stitch a couple of stitches. And then the other thing that I like to do is just do some top stitching right along the top edge. So back stitch at both ends here. Now we'll sew the front and back together, and again I just want to follow right along the contour of that interfacing, and you do want to back stitch at both ends here. Now when you get to where the strap is, you can backstitch over that to secure it a little better. And I'm going to stop right there where my opening is. And now that I finished sewing the front and back, I'm going to do the same thing. Just clip in some V's where all my curves are, and then I'll go ahead and press one side of the seam open. I've pressed back my seam and I pressed it towards the Decovil side. So this edge right here where my opening is, I just folded it right over the Decovil like that. And now we're ready to turn it right side out. So you just want to reach in and pop out all the corners. And this one has the strap, so you can also just grab the strap and pull. And then again, you can take your point turner and just get in there and smooth all the corners. And then once you have everything smoothed out, you want to take this open edge right here and fold it so that it's even with the opposite side. And then you'll go and press everything down very nicely. I have this all nicely pressed now, and we're not going to worry about closing up that opening because we're going to put the ID window on top, and we're going to top stitch all around this entire piece, so that opening will be closed when we do our top stitching. So you want to line up your ID window now with the back of the piece, with the back of the tag, and clip everything in place. I'm stitching the two sections together now, and this time I'm using the center of this toe as my edge guide. And when you're doing top stitching, you should always try and pull your threads out to the side and hold them so that you don't get a thread mess. I do try to do that all the time, but a lot of times I just forget. It's not as important on a seam, but for top stitching it is. Now when I get to the top of the ID window, I do like to backstitch a little bit because that is going to be a stress point. And once again, when I get to my previous stitching, I'll top stitch over that a little bit and then back. Now the only thing left to do is put on the cam snap. So you need to take your awl and punch through both of these pieces right here. I do have a video that shows you how to install cam snaps, and I will link to that. And it's helpful if you push this out of the way. Make sure you get everything seated properly in there. And you just press it. Now you can see it installed right there. And then you're going to put the other one through the back. And make sure that you get the opposite piece. I'll fold this back just a little bit. And again, you just make sure that everything is seated properly in there. And then you press it. And now you can see it installed there. So there you go. I hope that you've enjoyed this project. Please do take advantage of downloading the free PDF file, the pattern file, along with the SVG files. And again, coming up will be the short tutorial on how to upload the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Please like and subscribe. This will be a short tutorial on how to upload your SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Now I am working on a Mac desktop, and again, these SVG files have only been tested in Cricut Design Space. So to upload your files, you want to come all the way over to the left where it says Upload, and you can click right there. And then you have this button right here that says Upload Image. Click on that. And then you can come right over here where it says Browse, and you can click on there to search for your file. So here's my SVG fabric file. I'm going to double click it, and then it shows me my images over here. Now I can come over here to the right, and it says Luggage Tag 5 Fabric, or you can give it a different name. And then you can come right down here on the right hand side and click on Save. Now let's go ahead and load in that second file. So now I can just go straight over here to Upload Image and click that. And then I can browse my files again. And here's my SVG file for the interfacing. So again, double click, and you'll see your images. You can name it, and then click Save. Now you'll see that your two icons are right here. These are for your files. So you can click on the first one and you'll get this green bounding box. Then if you come over to the second one and press down Shift, you can click again, and now both of them are selected. Then once they're selected, you come all the way over to the lower right hand corner and click on Insert Images, and you'll see everything here now loaded onto your canvas. Now when they load in, they're going to be grouped together. So these three pieces are grouped together, and these three pieces are grouped together. You want to be very careful not to change the size of anything. So first thing that we need to do is ungroup everything. So these are the fabric pieces in blue. I'm going to go up here to the upper right hand corner and click on Ungroup, and now they're all here individually. And then the next thing I like to do is check the size of each piece to make sure that they loaded in correctly. So this one is 7 inches by 4.25 inches, and that's correct. And this is 7 inches by 4.25, and that's correct. And then this one over here is 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches. So they all loaded in correctly. Now, let's suppose I only want to make style 1, which is this one right here. I can click on style 2, and then it's highlighted over here on the right side in the layers panel. All I need to do is click on the eyeball and it will turn it off. And then if I want to print it later or cut it out later, I can just click that eyeball again and it will reappear. But for now we want to hide it. And to make style 1, I need 2 of the front and back pieces. So I highlight it and then I go over to the upper right hand corner and I click duplicate. And now I have 2 of them. So I can put those together right there. And I want to attach them so that they stay just like that on the mat. And to do that, I just highlight the both of them, and then I come down here on the lower right hand side of the screen where it says attach, and then I just click on attach, and now they will stay together and they'll cut out together on the mat just like that. Then for this piece, I also need 2 of them, so I'm going to duplicate, and then I will put those together and again attach them, and now those will stay together on the mat just like that. Now for the interfacings, we need to ungroup them, and then I'll highlight this piece right here for style 2, and I'm going to hide it. And then I'm going to position this one over here, this piece over here, and I only need 1 of those. And now for this piece, I need 2, so I'm going to duplicate it, but first I want to rotate it. Okay, and I'll position it right up here, and then I'm going to say duplicate, and now I have all 3 of my interfacing pieces, and then I will attach them so that they'll stay just like that when it's time to cut them out on the mat. Then the next thing that you'll do is you'll hit Make It, and you'll see that you have your interfacing with the pieces on the mat just the way you positioned them, and the same thing for the fabric pieces. So at this point you can just go ahead and continue, and then you'll be brought to the next screen where they want you to set your materials. So that's as far as we'll go with this tutorial. You'll choose your settings and then you can go ahead and cut out your pieces.